Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, and NHL games and look ahead to today's games. I'll do my latest NBA power rankings. A Major League Baseball trade has been finalized and my best bet of the day. All right, we'll start in college basketball as we will go over the results from a short slate from yesterday and we will look ahead to the games that are being played today. So, without further ado, here we go. West Carolina over the Citadel, 76-75. Louisville over Georgia Tech, 74-58. Eastern Washington over Sacramento State, 94-79. Austin Peay over SIU Edwardsville, 74-59. Indiana State over Bradley, 67-55. Stetson over Carver, 110-56. Number 25, Drake over Illinois State, 95-60. FIU over Florida Memorial, 90-74. Murray State over Southeast Missouri State, 77-60. Wofford over East Tennessee State, 67-62. Evansville over Valpo, 58-51. Miami over Duke, 77-75. Memphis over UCF, 96-69. Loyola Chicago over Missouri State, 70-50. Jackson State over Arkansas Pine Bluff, 63-55. Grambling over Mississippi Valley State, 85-72. Prairie View over Alabama State, 87-63. Texas Southern over Alabama A&M, 66-49. Number 13, Texas Tech over number 9, Oklahoma, 57-52. And NC Central over SC State, 91-77. All right. Today's games at 2 o'clock. We have UMBC at NJIT. We do not have a line out yet for this game, but my projections are UMBC by 6 and a total of 135. Utah and Arizona State unfortunately postponed. 5 o'clock Fox Sports 1, Butler and Marquette. My line for this game is Marquette 3.5, total 136. Meanwhile, it's Marquette 3.5, total 127.5. I'm taking the over, juiced over at minus 115. These two teams are better than that offensively. Still 5 o'clock. You have Wake and Notre Dame on the ACC Network. My line is Notre Dame by 3, total 140.5. While it is Notre Dame 5.5, total 141.5. I'm taking Wake plus 5.5 at minus 118. Could be a letdown for Notre Dame after the win over Pitt. Ohio and Central Michigan. My line is Ohio 9.5, total 154. Meanwhile, Ohio 8.5, total 155.5. So 1 point off on each side. Or my bad, it's a 1.5 off. So I have to take the under 155.5. I have no choice but to do that. Next up, 6 o'clock, Eastern Illinois at SIU Edwardsville. My line's Edwardsville by 2, total 144.5. Meanwhile, it's Edwardsville 3.5, total 135.5. I'm going to take the over. I have a huge edge on the over, so I'll give you the over in that game. Miami of Ohio and Kent State. My line is Kent State 1.5, total 150. Meanwhile, it's Kent State 8.5, total 148.5. I have to take Miami of Ohio plus 8.5 at minus 106. No, Miami of Ohio won't win, but I think that they will hang around. Buffalo and Ball State. My line is Buffalo 3, 151.5 total. Meanwhile, it is Buffalo 4.5 total, 153.5. So I'm going to take the under at minus 106. George Mason, Richmond, postponed. 6:30, Big Ten Network, number 24, Purdue at Maryland. My line is Purdue 6.5, total 137.5. Meanwhile, it is Maryland 2.5, total 133.5. This is probably your classic line of wrong teams favored. So, it's quote-unquote bound to happen. But I'm taking Purdue plus the 2.5, minus 115 and minus 118 straight up, or plus 118 straight up. They're just better than Maryland. I can't believe Maryland's favored in this game. Give me Purdue. Next up, 7 o'clock, ESPN, game of the night. Again, Big 12 with these quote-unquote games of the night because they're just an awesome conference. Number 2, Baylor at number 6, Texas. My line is Baylor 6.5, total 146. Meanwhile, it is Baylor 4.5, total 144.5. I'm going to lay it with Baylor at minus 114. Do I feel good about it? No, but it's the direction I have to go right now. So give me Baylor -4.5 at -114. Michigan State at number 8, Iowa on Fox Sports 1. My line is Iowa 6.5 total 154. Meanwhile, it is Iowa 9.5 total 155.5. I have no choice but to take the Spartans plus 9.5 at -118. No, Sparty won't win the game. I just think that they'll be competitive. ESPN 2, number 11, Tennessee at Ole Miss. My line is Tennessee by 7, total 132.5. Meanwhile, it is Tennessee 3.5, total 124.5. That is a ridiculously low total. I'm taking the over 124.5 in that one. Number 17, West Virginia at Iowa State. My line is West Virginia 9, total 145. Meanwhile, it's West Virginia 11.5, total 145.5. So I'm going to take the Cyclones plus 11.5 at -112 to keep this thing competitive. Spring Hill, Troy, we can skip. Eastern Kentucky and Jacksonville State. My line is Eastern Kentucky by 5, total 148. Meanwhile, it is Eastern Kentucky as a 1.5 point underdog, total 151.5. I'm going to take Eastern Kentucky plus 1.5 at -105 and plus 112 on the money line. South Carolina State and North Carolina Central. My line is Central by 9.5, total 147.5. Meanwhile, it's Central 17.5, total 143.5. I have no choice but to take South Carolina State plus a 17.5 at -118. That number is way too high for my liking. ACC Network, North Carolina Clemson. My line is Carolina by 5.5, total 136. Meanwhile, it's Carolina 2.5, total 134.5. I am going to take the Tar Heels -2.5 against Clemson. I think that Clemson is overrated, and they were just a product of a soft non-conference schedule. SDC Network, Georgia, Auburn. My line is Auburn 2, total 153. Meanwhile, it's Auburn 8.5, total 163.5. I'm going to take the under 163.5 at -115. I think that I'd consider parlaying Georgia plus 8.5 and the under 163.5 to see how you would do, but I think the under is the safer bet. 163.5, although juice number at -115. Akron and Toledo. My line is Toledo 5, total 147.5. And it is Toledo 5.5, total 150.5. So I'm going to take the under 150.5 at -108. 8 o'clock, you have Kansas State at number 23, Kansas. I don't get why Kansas is ranked. They're not good. Or they're not as good as Kansas teams from the past. Kansas 10.5, total 139. Meanwhile, it is Kansas 17.5, total 133.5. I'm going to take, this is a tough one, 7-point edge on State. And I have an edge, 5.5-point edge on the over. I'm going to take Kansas State plus a 17.5 at -105, but I don't feel good about it. Just have the bigger edge there. Although I'd consider parlaying Kansas State in the over. Morgan State and Coppin State. My line for this game is Morgan State by 1, total 152.5. Meanwhile, I don't see anything up yet on the sites. 8:30 Big Ten Network, Penn State at number 19, Wisconsin. Rematch from the other day when Penn State upset Wisconsin. My line's Wisconsin 10.5, total 144. Meanwhile, it's Wisconsin 8.5, total 138.5. I'm going to take the over 138.5 in this one. 9 o'clock, ESPN, number 12, Illinois at Indiana. My line is Illinois by 6, total 146.5. Meanwhile, it is Illinois by 2.5, total 141.5. I am going to take the over. I think it's the safer bet than laying it with Illinois. So I'm going to take over 141.5 at -106. Fox Sports 1, USC Stanford. My line is USC 2.5, total 141.5. Meanwhile, it's USC 1.5, total 137.5. I'm taking the over at -114. BYU San Diego. My line is BYU 12.5, total 142.5. Meanwhile, it is BYU 11.5, total 138.5. I'm going to take the over 138.5. CBS Sports Network, UNLV, Nevada. My line is Nevada 1.5, total 140.5. Meanwhile, it is Nevada 4.5, total 141.5. I'm taking UNLV plus the points because I have a 3-point edge on UNLV. No, they won't win. I just think that they'll cover. ESPN 2, Davidson, Duquesne. My line is Davidson 5.5, total 133.5. Meanwhile, it is Davidson 1.5, total 129.5. That's a tough one. I'm going to lay it with Davidson. I think that's a safer play. So I'm going to lay it 1.5 with Davidson at minus 115. And the SEC Network, Mississippi State at Arkansas. My line's Arkansas 4.5, total 146. It's Arkansas 6.5, total 143.5. I'm taking yet another over 143.5. Alrighty then. Now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll go over last night's games, and we will look ahead to a slate that isn't as busy as it was yesterday. Lakers over the Hawks 107-99. Both LeBron and AD played. Lakers 16-6, Hawks 10-10. Anthony Davis had 25 to lead the Lakers. Trae Young 25 to lead the Hawks. Hornets over the Heat 129-121 in overtime. As the Hornets go to 10-11, Miami goes to 7-13. Malik Monk 36 for Charlotte. Jimmy Butler had 25 at 9 boards for Miami. Cavaliers over the Timberwolves 100-98. The Cavs are 10-11. Minnesota's 5-15. Colin Sexton had 26 points. D'Angelo Russell had 18 with 4 assists. Bucks over the Trailblazers 134-106. The Bucks are 12-8. Portland's 10-9. Drew Holiday had 22 points, and Nasir Little led Portland in scoring with 30. Bulls over the Knicks 110-102. Bulls 8-11. Knicks 9-13. Laurie Markkanen 30 points for Chicago. Julius Randle 23 points, 11 boards, and 7 assists. Kings over the Pelicans 118-109. Sacramento 9-11. New Orleans 7-12. De'Aaron Fox had 38 and 12 assists. Brandon Ingram had 20 for New Orleans. Rockets over the Thunder 136-106. An incredible turnaround for the Rockets after the trading of James Harden. Rockets 10-9, amazingly enough. OKC 8-11. Eric Gordon had 25 points. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 19 with 5 assists. Suns over the Mavericks 109-108 as Devin Booker hit a game-winning three-pointer with 1.5 seconds left. Phoenix 11-8, Dallas 8-13. Chris Paul had 34 points and 9 assists. Luka Doncic 25 with 8 assists. Grizzlies over the Spurs 133-102. Memphis 9-6, San Antonio 11-10. Gorgie Deng had 19 for Memphis and 9 boards. Keldon Johnson 25 with 10 boards for San Antonio. And Pistons Nuggets postponed because of contact tracing with the Pistons. All right, tonight's slate, 7 o'clock, you have the Raptors and the Magic. My line is Raptors 4, total 218.5. Obviously, no Aaron Gordon and Markelle Fultz. And it is Raptors 6, total 214. I'm going to take the over 214 and minus 115. The Raptors offense has been a little bit better of late. I want to take Orlando too, but I only can take one. I have the bigger edge on the over, so I'm going to take over 214 between the Raptors and the Magic. 7:30 TNT, huge game from Brooklyn. Clippers Nets. My line is Brooklyn 1, total 230.5. Meanwhile, it's Clippers 1.5, total 242.5. Nets unders have not done well for me, so I'm gonna take the Nets plus 1.5 and even money straight up. This is a big game for Brooklyn. They have to win and come out and prove that they could play with these Western Conference heavyweights. So give me Brooklyn plus 1.5 and plus 100 on the money line. 8 o'clock, Grizzlies Pacers. My line is Grizzlies 3, total 220. Meanwhile, it's Pacers 4.5, total 223.5. I'm taking Memphis again, plus 4.5, plus 158 straight up. Indiana has guys injured. and Memphis does not. So give me Memphis plus the 4.5 at plus 158 on the money line. Trailblazers Wizards, my line is Portland 3.5, total 235. Meanwhile, it's Washington 2.5, total 240.5. I'm going to take Portland plus the 2.5 and plus 118 straight up. I would do a Brooklyn, Memphis, Portland money line parlay, see how that would play out. But I'm taking Portland. 10 o'clock, Pistons Jazz. My line is Utah 17, total 220.5. Meanwhile, it's Utah 12, total 217.5. I'm going to lay the 12 at Utah against the Pistons. And last but not least, 10 o'clock TNT, Celtics Warriors. My line is Boston 3, total 223.5. Meanwhile, is Boston 2.5, total 226.5. I'm taking the under 226.5. No James Wiseman for Golden State, and I think that Boston's defense could get some stops here. So give me the under 226.5 between Boston and Golden State. And I do think the Celtics will win the game tonight on national TV. Alrighty then. Now move on to the NHL. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's slate. Rangers over the Penguins 3-1. Big win for the Rangers as they go to 3-4-2. Pittsburgh 5-4-1. The number 3 started game with an assist. Adam Fox. Number 2 started game with a goal and 2 assists. Artemi Panarin. And the number 1 started game with 25 saves on 26 shots. His best game of the year, Igor Shesterkin. Bruins over the Capitals 5-3 as the Capitals get handed their first regulation loss of the season. Boston 6-1-2. Washington 6-1-3. Number 3 started game with 2 assists, Jacob Vrana. The number 2 started game with a goal and assist, Brandon Carlo. And the number 1 started the game with 2 goals. His first 2 goals of the season, David Pasternak. Lightning over the Predators 5-2. That was a bad upset pick by me yesterday. Lightning 5-1-1. Nashville 4-5-0. The number 3 started game with 26 saves on 28 shots, Andrei Vasilevsky. The number 2 started game with 2 goals, Yanni Goudreau. And the number 1 started the game, didn't have a point, just played very well, Ryan McDonough. Canadians over the Canucks 6-2. The Canadians are 6-1-2. Vancouver 6-6. The number 3 star of the game with a goal and an assist, Arturi Lehkonen. The number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist, Nick Suzuki. And the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals and an assist, Jeff Petrie. Flames over the Jets 4-3 in a shootout. The Flames 4-3-1. Winnipeg 5-3-1. The number 3 star of the game with 3 assists, Blake Wheeler. The number 2 star of the game for Calgary with the goal, Christopher Tanev. And the number 1 star of the game with 2 goals for Winnipeg, Kyle Connor. Meanwhile, the shootout game winner was scored on a beauty by Johnny Gaudreau. And then obviously Golden Knights Sharks postponed because the Golden Knights have some COVID issues. All right, looking ahead to today, Sabres Islanders postponed. There's some COVID issues with Buffalo. Obviously, Buffalo played the Devils, who have a COVID outbreak. They have 10 positives, the Devils. So we won't be seeing them for another week, unfortunately. And obviously the last team they played was the Sabres. So Sabres, it's out of precaution that they postponed that game. All right, 7 o'clock, you have the Stars and the Blue Jackets. Each team is minus 108. Totals 5.5. Overs plus 135. Unders minus 160. Columbus minus 1.5 is plus 280. Dallas plus 1.5 is minus 350. I'm just going to go with Columbus straight up at minus 108. I just like them in the spot at home. Dallas is playing well, but I think that Columbus is desperate. So give me Columbus at home at minus 108. Canucks Canadians again. Montreal's minus 178. Vancouver's plus 148. Over under 6.5. Montreal minus 1.5 is plus 150. Vancouver plus 1.5 is minus 178. I'm going to take the over 6.5. I think there's a lot of goals in this game. And I think that you'll see Thatcher Demko in net for Vancouver rather than Braden Holtby. But even with that, I think that Vancouver's offense should be better. I think that Jake Allen will be in net for Montreal rather than Carey Price. So I like the over. I think this is a 4-3 game regardless of who wins. 8 o'clock, Hurricanes Blackhawks. Carolina's minus 178. Chicago's plus 150. Over under 5.5. Overs minus 130. Unders plus 110. Carolina puck line minus 1F is plus 152. Chicago plus 1F is minus 180. The Blackhawks are playing good hockey. I'm taking them to win straight up against Carolina plus 150. I'm taking a bit of an upset here. I like how Chicago's playing. They found their goalie, it looks like, and they're playing a little defense. So Chicago in the under is pretty enticing, but I'm going to go with the Blackhawks just to be safe at plus 150. Coyotes and the Blues. The Blues are minus 174. Arizona's plus 146. Over under 5.5. Overs plus 115. Unders minus 140. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 105. Blues minus 1.5 is plus 172. Tough one here. I'm going to take the over at plus 115. I think that this could be a 4-2 game, and the empty netter could do it. And I just like the value here on the over. Flames Jets again. Flames minus 120. Jets plus 102. Over under 6.5. Overs even money. Unders minus 120. Flames minus 1.5 is plus 225. Jets plus 1.5 is minus 275. I'm doing the same thing I did yesterday, taking the over at even money. I think that you'll see a lot of goals again. It's going to be over 6.5 at even money. 8:30 NBCSN, you have the Wild and the Avalanche. The Avs are minus 174. Wild plus 146. Over under 5.5. Wild plus 1F is minus 194. Colorado minus 1F is plus 162. I'm going to take the over. Again, similar to the other game I talked about with Arizona and St. Louis, I think that this has potentially be a 3-2 game, and then empty netter seals it type of game. So give me over 5.5 between the Wild and the Avalanche, or it's a 4-3 game, and the winner's decided in extra time. 10 o'clock, the Senators and the Oilers. The Oilers are minus 240. Ottawa's plus 198. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 130. Unders plus 110. Edmonton minus 1F is plus 110. Ottawa plus 1F is minus 130. I'm taking Edmonton puck line minus 1F at plus 110. I just think that the Senators are a team that just looks disinterested or trying to tank. DJ Smith could be a coach on the hot seat. They have not looked good at all. So give me Edmonton minus 1F at plus 110. And last but not least, it's the good rivalry game, Ducks-Kings. The Kings are favored at minus 126. Ducks plus 108, over under 5.5, overs plus 120, unders minus 140. Ducks plus 1F is minus 295. Kings minus 1F is plus 240. I'm going to take the Ducks plus 108 to win on the money line, win straight up. The Kings, I think, are an improved team. For sure, they are 3-3-2. And then the Ducks are 3-5-2. Each team is 8 points. It's just that the Ducks have played more games than the Kings. Both these teams looked improved, but I'm going to go for the underdog Ducks, as I think that John Gibson could steal this win for Anaheim. So give me the Ducks plus 108 against the Kings. Now I'm going to move on to my NBA power rankings for the week. I normally do these on Wednesdays, but I pushed it back to today. And tomorrow I'm going to do another activity, which I'll spoil at the end of the podcast. So without further ado, here we go with the power rankings. Number 30 is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Just brutal of a situation. Karl-Anthony Towns has COVID. We don't know when he will be back. The Timberwolves right now are 5-15 on the year. 29, the Detroit Pistons. They're also 5-15 on the year. I just don't like the direction of this team long term. They have some nice players that they picked in the draft, but you know that they are a long ways away. Number 28 is the Washington Wizards. They are 4-12 on the year. They had the big win over Brooklyn. But they're really not in the race for the playing game. They're really 2 back of the Knicks, if you think about it. Detroit's 3 back of the Knicks for the play-in. And that's crazy. But if they want to trend towards that way, that was a big win for Washington. And looks like that Bradley Beal wants to stay in Washington. That's crazy because everyone, their brother, is penciling him in as the next big name traded in the NBA. Number 27 is the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 7-12 on the year. Very disappointing. Zion's been great. Lonzo's been meh. Brendan Ingram's still awesome. Number 26 is the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are 8-11 on the year, but they look like a team that isn't as good as their record indicates, as they were blown out in their last couple games against Brooklyn and Houston, respectively. Number 25 is the Sacramento Kings at 9-11. I don't like this Kings team really all that much. I like De'Aaron Fox. Marvin Bagley hasn't lived up to potential. Number 24 is the New York Knicks. They are 9-13. I'm just not sold on the Knicks. I talked about it with James yesterday. I still think that they could use a point guard. Although they think Emmanuel Quickley is the point guard of the future, which could be true. Yes, the Knicks are an improved team because some of their internal growth has shown with Mitchell Robinson and RJ Barrett. Julius Randle's having a career year as well. But I still not sold that this team is going to be in the play-in tournament, although they hold that spot right now, amazingly enough. Number 23, the Chicago Bulls, 8-11, big win over the Knicks last night, as they are now one game back of Charlotte for the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. By the way, for the Bulls, Lauri Markkanen is in the conversation for the most improved player. Number 22, the Orlando Magic at 8-13. Injuries have really crumbled for them. No Markelle Fultz, no Jonathan Isaac the whole year. And then, obviously now, no Aaron Gordon. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. Number 21, the Toronto Raptors. They are 8-12. They are technically tied with the Knicks for that last play-in tournament spot. But this team has completely regressed from the past couple of seasons. Number 20, the Charlotte Hornets. They're in the 8th seed in the East right now at 10-11. I'm not sold on them. Terry Rozier's hurt, and LaMelo Ball is now starting for them. Number 19, the Cleveland Cavaliers, currently in the 7th spot at 10-11. They've been a pleasant surprise to me. J.B. Bickerstaff has to be in the conversation for the Coach of the Year, along with Tom Thibodeau and Billy Donovan. And James Borgos as Charlotte. He's just been tremendous. And Colin Sexton's obviously in the conversation for most improved as well. Number 18, the Miami Heat. They are at a dismal 7-13. They should have won yesterday against Charlotte, but couldn't close it out in overtime because Malik Monk just went absolutely nuts. It's good that Jimmy Butler's back and everything, but they just have to get going. Number 17, the Dallas Mavericks are sitting at 8-13. Very disappointing start to the year for Dallas. Kristaps Porzingis has been in and out of the lineup. Luka Doncic is still playing himself into shape. Number 16, the San Antonio Spurs. They're at 11-10. They're in the play-in tournament if the season ended today. Greg Popovich has done a marvelous job. Keldon Johnson's improved. Number 15, the Houston Rockets at 10-9. This is unbelievable. Victor Oladipo, Christian Wood, Eric Gordon, all getting the job done. PJ Tucker, too. Maybe they keep all those guys and make a run for the play-in spot. They're in the play-in tournament if the season were to end today, which is absolutely incredible. Number 14, Atlanta Hawks. They're in the 6th spot right now at 10-10. Trae Young's been marvelous. DeAndre Hunter's made the leap for them. Number 13, the Portland Trailblazers. They are at 10-9, so they're in the 8th spot right now in the West. No Yusuf Nurkic or CJ McCollum. Obviously, Damian Lillard's just been carrying them the wins left and right, and obviously had the big buzzer beater the other day as well against the Bulls. Number, where did I leave off? 12, the Golden State Warriors. They are 11-9 on the year. Stephen Curry's carrying them the wins. Kelly Oubre's been a little disappointing to start the year from a shooting standpoint. Andrew Wiggins has been meh. Number 11, the Phoenix Suns, 11-8, fresh off the game-winning shot by Devin Booker from the other day. Chris Paul's still looking like Chris Paul. Number 10, the Memphis Grizzlies at 9-6. John Morant's been excellent. Obviously, he's led them pretty much the whole way to this point, and you got to give them credit for recovering from their COVID hiatus. Number 9, the Indiana Pacers at 11-9. Indy's been pretty good. They've had some injuries, which is unfortunate for them. Malcolm Brogdon's another one in the conversation for most improved. Number 8, the Boston Celtics at 10-8. Another improved guy is Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum's been awesome as well. Kemba Walker in and out of the lineup's a little concerning, but they're still finding ways to win games. Number 7, the Brooklyn Nets at 13-9. Very dismal loss against Washington the other day. Blew a 5-point lead with 11 seconds left. Like, who does that? As the Wizards hit back-to-back threes, and then they stole the inbounds pass and hit that three that gave them the lead. Number 6, the Milwaukee Bucks at 12-8. Little mediocre by their standards. Giannis has been Giannis, but his issue's been at the free throw line. Number 5, the Denver Nuggets at 12-8 as well. Nikola Jokic is playing great. Jamal Murray really hasn't made that next step yet. He hasn't looked like the guy from the bubble. Number 4, the Los Angeles Lakers. And one more thing about the Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr. is playing very well. He might be untradeable now. He might not be the piece of a deal that they're trying to pursue at the deadline now. Lakers in the 4th spot at 16-6. They don't have the best record anymore. I had to bump them down. They had the win over the Hawks. LeBron's been awesome. LeBron should be the MVP. Number 3, the 76ers at 15-6. They lead the Eastern Conference. Joel Embiid has to be in the MVP conversation as well. He's carried them to this point. Ben Simmons has been Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris has hit some big shots, including that big one on national TV against the Lakers the other night. Number 2, the Utah Jazz at 15-5. They've been unbelievable. Their winning streak, unfortunately for them, came to an end on Sunday at the hands of the Denver Nuggets. But they've been playing great. Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Joe Ingles, they're all playing well. And Mike Conley's had some games as well. And number 1, the Los Angeles Clippers at 16-5 have the best record in the league. They've been playing great. Kawhi has to be in the MVP conversation too, despite missing some games. Paul George is a guy on the mission after a terrible bubble experience. And Ty Lue has done a good job so far with this team. Alrighty then. Now I want to talk about the finalized Nolan Arenado trade that sent Nolan Arenado from the Rockies to the Cardinals. I talked about it yesterday. It's a really great trade for the St. Louis Cardinals. They needed another big bat in that lineup, and they get it with Nolan Arenado. They have 2 of the marquee players in the league now with him and Paul Goldschmidt trading for each guy within a 2-3 year span. Goldschmidt, they signed long-term. Arenado's obviously signed long-term. He signed that big extension with the Rockies 2 years ago, so he's locked up for the long haul as well. So their 2 corner infielders are just outstanding both ways. So you have that, and then the return, Austin Gomber, who we talked about, Alharius Montero, third baseman, Mateo Gil, third baseman, Tony Locey, a righty, and Jake Snommers, a righty. I think it's a great trade for the Cardinals, as I said. They didn't have to give up much. Austin Gomber's the best player going to Colorado in that deal. He's been in the majors. He's shown some promise, but I think the Rockies could have done better in this deal. I really do. But now the Rockies go into a rebuild. Is Trevor Story next? That is the question for all of us. And I'm going to think that they might look to shop some of their starters like Kyle Freeland and John Gray and obviously Herman Marquez. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes for the Rocks. So I think the Cardinals, it was a heist. This kind of reminded me of the package the Yankees sent to Miami for Giancarlo Stanton. Although the Marlins, some of those prospects have actually panned out to be better than what were expected. And Giancarlo Stanton has failed to stay healthy with the Yankees, so it's not a slam dunk for the Yankees, unfortunately, at the moment. Alrighty. One more thing before we move on to best bet. The Major League Baseball PA turned down the proposed offer to delay the start of the season and have 154 games of universal DH and expanded playoffs. And I think that it was the right call, personally. I know the negative here is that you lose the DH in the National League, but I think it's better for the sport to put it back to where it normally was. I think that it's better for the game, personally. And I think that obviously there's not going to be bad teams in the playoffs like there were last year with the Marlins and stuff like that. So the proposal, like I said, the end of the season would be delayed 1 week. The regular season would start late, 154 games. All 30 teams would be required to play several doubleheaders, and players would also be required to accept previously rejected proposals like expanded playoffs and the expansion of the designated hitter, and they turned it down. And the league now plans to start on time. Camp scheduled to open February 17th, which is not far away. That is 2 weeks from tomorrow. And opening day is scheduled for April 1st, which is obviously April Fool's Day. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And there's still moves to be made in the offseason, I think. There's still trades to be made. There's still free agents out there. It's going to be interesting to see where these free agents land now that we have some clarity of when baseball will begin. All right, best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. Some tough calls, personally, on the board. There are a couple that I am considering. My play for today will be in college basketball. Now I'm going to go with a total that I think is ridiculously low. And that is actually, you know what? I'm stuck between two. I'm stuck between two, but yeah, I'm going to go with my initial guy. I'm going to take the over 127.5 in Butler Marquette. I just think that both of those teams are better offensively than that number suggests, and I think that that can go over pretty easily, and we don't have to sweat it out. So give me the over in Butler Marquette, 127.5 at a juice number at minus 115. So there you have it for the podcast today. I'll be back tomorrow recapping all the games in college basketball, NBA, and NHL from today and looking ahead to tomorrow's games. I'm going to do my first NFL mock draft of the year tomorrow. And then Thursday we'll possibly have a guest. And Friday possibly with the guest. And then the Super Bowl pick will obviously come on Friday's podcast. And make sure you check out last night's episode with my friend James Sellison as we talk about possible Deshaun Watson trades that I threw out and some rapid fire stuff as well. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.